Okay, tell the camera who you are.
For those who don't know me, which is everybody,
Yes.
Hunter. I've been a good friend of Calvin's for a number of years, both through mountain biking and flying. Fly professionally for a living now and still fly GA when I can, and Calvin's a good outlet for that. Do a lot of mountain flying. That's what we plan on doing today, going to Salida. It's a beautiful November day for it, oddly enough. We'll have a lot of fun.
And what do you do now? How many hours do you have?
How many hours do I have now? Last I looked, I think over 3,500 hours. Still a beginner.
Always a beginner.
And I'm not saying that facetiously either.
I wonder if that's the dude that commented on my video. He's looking at it, it probably is.
Give him a wave.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Oh, weight and balance, where's that at? How much you weigh again, 180?
We'll call it now. 180. We'll say 170.
Okay.
Conservative. That's conservative.
Cool.
I like to keep my figure.
Can't be risen if you're all doughy. Perfect. Yeah, we're good. Let's do normal takeoff. You want to do the takeoff?
Sure.
All right.
This thing doesn't have the AD like the Cessnas do, right? With the seat rails?
It does not.
Not yet.
Spaceport Tower, Musketeer 3638 Quebec, holding short of runway 8 at Alpha 3, ready for departure.
Musketeer 3638 Quebec, Spaceport Tower, hold short, runway 8, arriving traffic.
Hold short, runway 8, Musketeer 38 Quebec.
Alright, let's see how they do.
Well, he's a little high. He better grease this.
On the 1,000-footers. Nope, it's going to be long.
Mid. Well, not bad.
Did better than I'd probably do.
46 Juliet,
No.
extend upwind. 38 Quebec, on departure, proceed eastbound, I'll call your southbound turn, runway 8, clear for takeoff.
Runway 8, clear for takeoff. On departure, proceed eastbound. You call southbound turn, Musketeer 3638 Quebec.
Clear to go, clear left.
Clear left, finals
right.
clear, runway's clear.
Understood, fly eastbound until told otherwise.
Yes, sir. Yeah, rotate 65, then VY 73.
Lovely.
Dialing in 142.
Alright, there's power sets.
2 o'clock, 3 miles.
Gauges are good.
Making good power. Suction's good. All your gauges look good.
Airspeed's alive.
40.
And traffic inside.
265. Beautiful.
November 1, Juliet, Mike.
Road rest on the brakes, my bad.
All good. Beautiful.
You can take it whenever you'd like.
Nah, keep it. You can fly.
That can be work.
Yeah, dude. No autopilot. Get used to it.
On the autopilot for you. Kind of feels thermally today.
It does, because we're flying super nose down compared to...
Well, I got up to like 6,600. I'm like, come on, Linder.
Yeah. No, I'm going to call you Linder.
Linder?
Because my name's Winder, but people say Winder.
Really?
Yes, it is. Mr. Linder.
To be clear, Calvin's not a CFI.
No,
I'm
we're
not
not
either. So, disclaimer there. It could be said that I have experience flying in the mountains, but I still view myself as a beginner. We're still a ways away from the mountains right now. We're just kind of taking a look to see if there's anything that could tell us about anything being rough about mountains. Really, there's not so much right now. There's a high pressure system parked in the mountains, and that's good for us. And thankfully, there's no low pressure system to the east of us. But this time of year, when things get warm, that's usually a sign of concern because it's winter time for one. Say what you will about climate change. But the reason why it gets warm is as the winds aloft pour over the front range and over the mountains, you'll get this downsloping effect into the front range area. And as you compress air, it gets warmer. So temperature aside, usually that's your first clue that the winds aloft are pretty strong if it's warm down low. It can also be a sign of mountain wave. Why I mentioned it's a good thing we don't have a low pressure system off to the east. Is high pressure always moves to low pressure. If you have a high pressure system parked in the mountains, you might think, oh great, nice stable air. But if you have a low pressure immediately off on the front range, the high pressure is going to want to move. You have a steeper pressure gradient, you have stronger winds aloft, and you're going to have a high likelihood of mountain wave. When you fly for a living, especially when I was flying skydivers up in Longmont, that airport's right against the foothills, right by Rocky Mountain National Park, Longs Peak, the Indian Peaks, and the Divide. And there's a very big difference between flying for fun and flying for a living. Obviously, safety still takes the priority, but there'd be days where you'd have the classic setup of mountain wave. Even in a King Air or a Twin Otter where you have tons of power, at max continuous power, you're still getting between like 1,500 and 2,000 feet per minute down if you're caught in the down wave. And that's not your job when you have jumpers on board, you're trying to go up.
Yeah.
So it was all about figuring out how to read the sky and figure out where the waves were, where the up wave was and where it wasn't. And once you figured it out, when you're in the up wave, you got in excess of 3,000 to 4,000 feet per minute at max gross. That's not normal, for a king or a twin otter. So the way I would try to play the game was in the climb, find the up wave, stay in it, and on the descent, find the down wave and rock it down. That way you become much more efficient at slinging jumpers, because when I was doing that, I was paid an incredible $10 per load before taxes. So the more loads you flew, the more you made. Of course, a temptation to fly when you shouldn't, but when you're paid that little, it doesn't really matter. One of the other things I like to do as far as mountain flying goes, and Calvin and I have talked about this when we first started mountain flying together to 3-3 Victor, is the mountains will mimic what kind of turbulence you can expect from it. And what I mean by that is the more treacherous or rocky the terrain is, as you throw wind at it, the bumpier it's going to be. So generally speaking, if I go anywhere in the southern half in the mountains here in Colorado, I usually like to fly towards Devil's Head. It's low, but it's pretty rocky, it's pretty treacherous. Fly near that on the leeward side just to get a feel for what the day is going to be. And that can be a good, nice taste test of what to expect. And the way I also approach mountain flying is I need to be convinced I can go versus convinced I can't.
Right.
Like right now, believe it or not, in my head, I still have the feeling like, we're going to...
Right, if you're questioning anything about it, don't go. That's the same, I mean, that's for any flying in general, really.
Yeah. I believe as far as risk management goes, it's heating off those risks before they become a problem in your face.
Yeah. If you ever ask yourself, or if you ever find yourself asking, I think this will work out, don't go.
Yeah,
don't.
You need to be sold on it. And along with that, it's important to have options. That's the other thing that makes mountain flying dangerous, is sometimes you don't have options. The route Calvin and I are taking today to Salida is a low risk route. On the way back, depending on how the winds aloft and the weather are, we'll take a little bit more of a mountainous terrain path. But sometimes, if you lose an engine, the only engine in your single engine plane in the Rockies, you might not have anywhere safe to put it down. You might be having to pick between pine trees or aspen trees. And there's a higher likelihood that one type of tree will kill you more than the other. We're about 15, 20 miles east of Larkspur right now, kind of coming over at Palmer Divide. As you kind of look southwest of Pikes Peak, you can see some higher level clouds that very loosely resemble waves. They're all kind of curving the same way. They kind of tip over to the left. That could be indicative of some turbulence. That's another thing to keep in mind, is how quickly the clouds change shape. Doesn't matter if it's cumuliform, doesn't matter if it's a lenticular that's stacking up more pancakes on it. Even stratus, if it's moving quickly, that's something to be aware of.
You gotta follow each thing with, but I don't know though, because you're not an instructor.
Yeah, but I don't know though.
It's like you give people advice, but if it ruins their life, you wanna I said I don't know though.
You didn't hear it from me. Okay, so we have Pikes Peak, a beam, and Cheyenne Mountain to the south, and then Fort Carson's a little bit further to the south in there. There's a couple restricted areas, some MOAs as well. But this valley here, you have the Sangre de Cristos, and then we kind of go up that valley, which goes by Supermax, the big prison.
Oh, sweet.
You familiar with that prison? But anyways, we have Pikes Peak and Cheyenne Mountain. We have this kind of mountain range, and we have the Sangre de Cristos there. We're gonna fly up that valley towards Salida.
Yes.
So at this stage in the game, we didn't like it. As we progress into the mountains, I think it'd be a prudent option to use Fremont County 1 Victor 6, I believe, as the identifier. I don't see a need to go all the way back to spaceport. So as we were beaming those clouds earlier, they're kind of hanging out in the same spot. I mean, they're changing shape, but they're hanging out in the same spot. And as we get a perspective of those clouds a little bit further east instead of a little bit further north, we can still see that kind of falling over effect. But it's more north to south than it was west to east.
Right.
So I'd be inclined to believe that the winds aloft at that specific altitude where those clouds are, the winds aloft are out of the northwest. With the route we're taking, there's no real hard pass like mountain pass. But something that's important with mountain flying is, again, keeping options for yourself and kind of risk mitigation is when you approach a pass, there's a point of no return. As you approach a pass and with the winds aloft interacting with that mountain pass, you might not like what's happening. So with that being said, instead of approaching the pass dead on, and if you don't like it, you have to make a 180-degree turn. And when you make a turn, you lose a big vertical component of lift, you start descending, you're starting to ask a lot more of your plane, and you kind of start setting yourself up for a loss of control, stall spin scenario in the mountains, which is a bad day. Survive it. So with that being said, the best strategy is to approach the mountain pass at a 45-degree angle, because then all you need to do is do at least another 90-degree angle, 90-degree turn, or even another 45, and you're free and clear from the pass. What's not often talked about with mountain flying is climb gradient. Everyone seems to want to talk about climb rate, and oh, you know, I've got a 206, I've got a big turbocharged engine up front, I get really good climb rates.
Yeah.
The difference being is the amount of altitude you gain over a given distance, your climb gradient. And at higher elevations, especially in Colorado and in the mountains, your climb gradient decreases no matter what you're flying.
Right.
Even in the jet I fly for work, it decreases dramatically. And that's a number of things. Density, altitude, true airspeed increases, you lose performance.
Yeah, because not only are you decreasing how much you're climbing, but you're increasing the distance you're going forward, because you're going. I'm having a moment. Hang on. Yeah, the higher up you are, your true airspeed increases, so your ground speed increases, so you're covering more distance faster. But you're also so you're covering significantly more difference, or significantly more ground, and then climbing significantly slower. So if you make it a triangle, distance covered, how much you're climbing, it's pretty shallow.
Like when I'm flying the jet for work, if I'm below 10,000 feet, doing 250 knots, and doing, for whatever reason, only 500 feet per minute, that's very, very, very shallow.
Yeah.
Very shallow. Very shallow climb gradient. But today, we're in Calvin's plane, doing 75 knots, doing 500 feet per minute. That triangle is going to look a lot bigger. Interesting. I thought those clouds we were looking at were a little bit more west.
They really did look like it.
They might be moving, potentially. Do you see how it kind of looks like shredded tissue paper?
Yep.
That's also usually indicative of turbulence.
Okay.
Given that the wind is aloft or west-northwest, that might be from interaction off of Pikes Peak potentially as the winds kind of swirl around it. Pikes Peak's no joke.
No, it is not.
Not surprising as we get closer to the more treacherous terrain, or to get more turbulence. It's a good sign that we haven't had any up until this point.
Yeah.
You know, the stronger the winds aloft, the sooner you'll encounter that turbulence farther away from the terrain. I don't think I ever finished the conversation about which 45 you choose.
Oh no, you did not.
So we're not going to, but this mountain range that's ahead of us, the Sangre de Cristos, if we were wanting to clear that pass, like Poncha Pass, or if we went a little bit further west doing Monarch, you'd want to approach it at a 45-degree angle. There's two 45s you can approach it at. You can approach it going this way, or you can approach it going this way. Sometimes it's 6 one way, half a dozen the other, which one you choose. More often than not, though, one is usually kind of a standout, better choice. And predictably, as with most things mountain flying, it's all off of the winds aloft. I think about what's going to benefit me the most if I have to bail out. What's going to benefit my climb gradient. I don't want to get pushed into the terrain and have a really high ground speed exiting. So with today, with the winds being out of the west-northwest, I would want to come in. Let me think about this, because it's pretty much dead on. So this is one of those days where it's kind of like 6 one way, half a dozen the other. But you always have to think about what's going to benefit your climb gradient on the way out. Granted, if you are approaching a mountain pass at a 45, you do bail from it, there should be lower terrain as you turn. Sometimes there's not. Sometimes you're making this turn into Box Canyon, and that's puckering. Ask me how I know. The other thing that, especially instrument-rated pilots, that I've noticed when I mountain fly with them, is they're so gung-ho on keeping pegged on an altitude. and there's some merit to that. But once you start encountering the treacherous terrains of the mountains, and you do start experiencing updrafts and downdrafts, take it as it comes, especially the updrafts. Like if the tail all of a sudden picks up and we feel that updrafts, I'm going to ride it.
Yeah.
Especially with the limited performance capable aircraft, I'm going to take what I can get. Because if there's updrafts in the mountains, there's downdrafts.
Yeah, I'm surprised on the chart, this whole like, the sort of valley or canyon, whatever we flew through, looks pretty chill. When you get in here, it's actually, there's quite a lot going on.
Oh yeah. I don't really want to go down the middle of the valley, but I don't want to be on this side. I'm going to get closer to this, but I'm not going to be extreme about it.
Okay.
Since there's nothing really pushing any air up it, it's more alongside it, we're not going to get a ton of performance benefit out of it. And if you don't like the approach, go around sooner than later.
Okay.
Because it's going to take a lot longer to get energy back.
Right.
Especially at these altitudes.
Clear below 12,000, temperature 15 Celsius. Dew point -6, altimeter 3025. Marks. Density altitude 8,800. Wind 190 at 12. Gust 18. Visibility 10.
Alright.
190. That's probably funneling from Monarch, which is really strange. That doesn't make sense, given the wind's aloft. And it's 240 is the runway, correct?
Yes.
So left cross. You're comfortable with crosswinds?
Oh yeah.
My man.
Salida traffic, Musketeer 38 Quebec is about 9 miles southeast. We'll be straight in, runway 24, full stop, Salida. Alright, you all got a carb heat gas. Mixture set, power set, your seatbelt good.
I'm buckled.
Alright. Pre-landing checklist complete. Oh yeah, we're still a little high.
A little bit.
Salida traffic, Musketeer 38 Quebec turning final, runway 24, full stop, Salida. I'm trying to stay a little high because of what you said about the drop off.
You can come down a little bit. Kind of dance between red and white. If you want to go a touch lower than this, you can, but this is looking good. You're going to want to have power on already when you cross it. And have your aiming point more towards the 1,000 footers than the numbers, just in anticipation of the sink.
Oh yeah.
There it is.
Yes, there it is. And there's that crosswind right at the end, too.
Yep, so yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Nice gusty.
Woohoo!
Not bad. A little off center line.
Alright.
It was like the last 50 feet that crosswind came in.
Yeah. It gets really squirrely down low.
Kind of fun.
Yeah, nicely done.
Thank you. Turn off here at Alpha 4. Flaps up, carbon in, boost pump off. Salida traffic, Musketeer 3638 Quebec is clear of runway 24 at Alpha 4. Slide it.
See how it's trickier getting out?
Definitely.
I don't even know if you'd be able to get off the ground with full tanks.
It would be close. It would be really close. I would
get off the ground, but as far as being a clear obstacle after that,
no.
I don't know.
It'd be rough. That's pretty.
Much higher than we are.
A lot higher than we are.
Close to a mile above us.
That's crazy to think about.
Look at that rotor, dude. That's really curling over.
Oh yeah.
That's not ideal. We can see the terrain, like we can glide all the way to Sedalia from here.
Yeah.
You know, so this is...
Are you gonna hop over this hill or turn around?
Turn.
Nice.